Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our first Rosewood educational webinar, Recovery Edition for the group segment. My name is Shu-Yin Ko, and I'm the Senior Corporate Director of Global Sales for Rosewood Hotel Group. And in my role, I lead Rosewood's global sales organization, who works closely with each of you based on your locations. And I have the great pleasure to be your moderator for today's call. Our guest presenters today will be Corey Byer, Sales Manager from Rosewood Miramar Beach, Nikki LaBurdette, Group Sales Manager with Rosewood Mayakoba, and Tyler Svedich, Director of Sales at Rosewood Bermuda. Before we turn things over to our presenters, I just wanted to take a moment to recognize that the world has completely changed for all of us, and the hospitality industry in particular. So we're sensitive to the impact that this has had for many of you, both personally and professionally, and we realize that these continue to be really uncertain times. So we just wanted to thank you for your partnership and your continued support, as this has really been critical to our recovery. During the registration process, we gave you the opportunity to send us some questions in advance to ensure that this call was going to be meaningful for you. And this really helped to shape the format of our call today. So we're going to start our call by touching on our Commitment to Care program, which provides our new health and safety standards at all of our hotels, since this seems to be on everyone's minds. And just a note that the deck will be shared with everyone after the call, and it has a really robust appendix detailing many of the specifications that you requested. We'll then share a few key initiatives that we've launched to support the growth of your business and update you on our current reopening dates. We'll then take just a short pause to address some of the frequent questions that were brought up during the registration process, but we'll also have time for Q&A at the end of the presentation. So we do encourage you to use your chat function. For those of you who may be joining us for the first time, please note that everyone will be on mute so we can keep the sound clear. Rosewood's Commitment to Care was created with local and international health experts, and of course, the health and well-being of our guests and our associates and the communities that we have the honor of serving is always our top priority. We've created a really comprehensive guide for our teams to cover all areas, including associate wellness screenings, heightened cleaning practices, of course, respecting social distancing and temperature checks, and guest room care kits. We've also just newly introduced a health and safety manager role at each of our properties to really manage and keep on top of all of the latest updates. The full document will be shared with you in detail after our call, so you're welcome to share this with your clients as you see fit. And the details will include specifications around social distancing, food and beverage options, housekeeping, and new meeting room layouts. This is our base core guide, so local government and health guidelines will always supersede this document. And as you'll hear shortly in this presentation, our hotels have the ability to adapt these to their relevant locations. In addition, it's important to reestablish what our commitment to you is. It's always going to be the Rosewood experience that you expect at each of our hotels. And we'll continue to enhance our sense of place at all of our properties, as this is really what Rosewood is known for, throughout our guest rooms, our function rooms, and our public spaces. We've taken in the new standard into consideration for meetings and events without compromising on the guest experience. Our collection of 28 hotels worldwide is truly unique to each destination, and if we had to choose what you take away from our presentation, it's really affirming our spirit of relationship hospitality, married to our commitment to care for each of our guests, for our associates, and their communities. As we welcome groups back to our hotels, we've really thought about how can we continue to be a good partner to offer you and your clients with the flexibility that they need, but with the incentive to support your business. So first, our Rosewood Rest Assured program has been newly updated, recognizing that group business is still in a longer recovery phase. So for new groups, we are offering the flexibility to cancel with no cancellation fees and a return of full deposits up to 60 days prior to arrival for groups of 15 or more rooms per night. We've also allowed for a minimum of 25% attrition and a maximum of 10% initial room deposits. Next, we created a new Rosewood Rewards program, which provides an alternative to travel. And this is not intended to replace travel, but to provide a Rosewood experience through the purchase of Rosewood gift cards that are applicable at any of our hotels. We're also continuing our Rosewood Global Give Back program that provides a 2% donation back to a charitable organization of your choice, or you can choose to contribute to one of the organizations that Rosewood is passionate about, including Rosewood Raise, which supports the local communities that our hotels operate in. And finally, we'll continue to update our reopening dates at each of our hotels. Coming up next, we're excited that Rosewood, Washington, D.C., the Carlisle or Rosewood Hotel, and Rosewood Baha Mar will be opening. We are on an exciting growth plan with 19 properties under development globally, including our newly announced Rosewood Laguanahani on the beautiful island of St. Bart's, which will be opening in May 2021. For additional details on any of the programs that were mentioned or any of our hotels, feel free to reach out to your global sales director, or you're always welcome to contact me after the call. At this point, we'll just take a brief pause and I'll answer a few of the questions that you submitted to us in advance. And as I mentioned, many of these will be reviewed in greater detail during the presentation, as well as shared in the deck as a follow-up. The first question is, how or what do we communicate in advance of each guest's arrival? So each group contact is provided information to share with each attendee prior to arrival. This includes a notification via email or text with curbside check-in and pre-keyed key packets. And for checkout, guest folios can either be emailed the night before or the master bill is sent to the group contact. And as usual, we'll work closely with each group as needed to customize this experience. What about occupancy levels at each resort? So our hotels are always prioritizing the safety of our guests, regardless if they're staying with us as a group or if they choose to stay with us as an individual. And because of the size of our hotels, we're actually ideal for an exclusive or a buyout. So although our hotels may be at full occupancy, most of the time your group will be the only group in-house, particularly as groups are occupying multiple event spaces. And how do we enforce policies for guests who choose not to follow? As always, our teams work very closely with each group contact to make sure that we're communicating clearly in advance what the expectations are prior to a group's arrival. And we also meet with every group contact upon arrival to review the health and safety protocols at that particular hotel. But with that said, as mentioned earlier, we do abide by the local laws and we will enforce and police those policies by communicating with guests during the stay for any of our public spaces. So now I'm pleased to turn it over to Corey Byer to begin her presentation on Rosewood Miramar Beach.
Thank you so much, Shuyin. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today, I have the pleasure to present to you Rosewood Miramar Beach, located in Montecito, California, just 90 miles north of Los Angeles, where it's a perfect 75 degrees and sunny. First, I'll provide you with a destination update. So California is open for travel. There are no travel restrictions, and then each county within the state has a varying degree of restrictions. So in Santa Barbara County, where Rosewood Miramar Beach is located, you'll see highlighted on the slide what's currently open. That includes hotels, restaurants, wineries, and bars are fully open outdoor, and then we do have a 25% capacity limit on our indoor dining. All outdoor activities, including public beaches, hiking trails, parks, and golf courses are open as well. There are still some restrictions in place for gatherings, including concert venues, festivals, and organized sports. However, as our cases in California and Santa Barbara County continue to decline, our restrictions will continue to loosen as well. Regarding face masks, they are required in public areas in the destination and then also the public areas of the resort. Next, I'd like to walk you through the COVID-19 protections we have in place at the resort. The resort was closed for about 10 weeks. We reopened in late May for the kickoff of summer season. And as Shuyan mentioned, we have redesigned our arrival and departure experience to offer guests really as little or as much interaction with the resort staff based on their own comfort level. So for arriving guests, we're offering curbside check-in. This allows guests to not have to go inside the main lobby pictured here. And then they're also given the option to self-park in our valet parking lot so that none of our staff have to enter the vehicle if that makes them most comfortable. For departures, we're offering guests the option of contactless checkout. And then just to clarify, this is being offered for both individual guests and group guests. Inside the guest rooms, we're still offering our twice daily housekeeping service. And again, here the guest is really determining their comfort level with how much service they would like inside the room. If they would like their items folded and their toiletries arranged as we normally do, we're still happy to do that, but also understand during these times that some are more comfortable with those types of services than others. We're also offering a care kit, which provides a set of gloves, disinfectant wipes, and a face mask. And our resort is set on 16 acres. So all but about 50 of our 161 rooms can be accessed without going through a shared corridor or up an elevator. So this really allows for natural distancing. So a lot of our rooms have the option of a private entrance without having to go through any sort of shared corridor. In regards to meetings and events, we're lucky to have great weather and many outdoor venues to offer for both meetings and events. Here you'll see a diagram of our ballroom, which is our largest of the event space. It's just about 6,500 square feet. Here in this diagram, we've set it up for a classroom with all kind of social distancing practices in place. So 1 person per 6 foot, each of the tables in between the rows is 6 feet apart as well. And that with this setup, you're looking at about 80 people. The lawn pictured here is right off of the main ballroom. So this gives us very flexible options for meeting and feeding while maintaining social distancing and the option to provide meals outdoors. We're also able to offer a separate event entrance, and exclusive temperature screening is available as an enhancement. Each meeting room is also placed a cleaning verification card with the name, date, and signature of when the cleaning was complete. And then for our larger events, we're able to arrange for colored bracelets to correlate with specific entries, exits, and that will help with staggering and flow of those larger events. Also, all staff and vendors must complete a pre-screening process, including a temperature check and a fit to work questionnaire before being allowed on resort property. In regards to banquet food and beverage, all dining tables are limited to a maximum of 6 people per round and 1 guest per 6 foot per classroom. All flatware is sanitized and pre-rolled in napkins. And then instead of traditional buffet offerings, we're offering attended stations, individually packaged meals, snacks, and then appetizers and tableside beverage service is being offered to avoid any gatherings around a buffet station or bar that just kind of naturally occurs when you have those in place. Next, I'd like to move on to our group activities. So for the most part, these offerings have not changed, as most of these activities can be modified for smaller groups and are available outside. A few on-site activities that I'd like to highlight. First, my personal favorite is our Planets and Pinots experience. This allows guests to learn about local Pinot Noir from the Santa Barbara region while gazing through high-powered telescopes with an astronomer as your guide. Another group activity which is unique to us is meeting our resident falconer. So during this experience, you learn to have a bird fly to your glove while the falconer tells the story of the cultural heritage, and then you learn more about the birds on site that day. And then last but not least is our bocce ball tournament. So the bocce ball court that you saw on the previous slide is on the resort grounds and provides a great group bonding activity, and it's perfect for a welcome reception as it's built-in entertainment right into your event. So moving on now to off-site group activities that are unique to Santa Barbara. The first I wanted to highlight is Flag is Up Farms, which is a presentation from Monty Roberts, who's more affectionately known as the Horse Whisperer, whom I've had the chance to meet, and he has such a presence. He uses a force-free training method with his horses, and you'll get to witness a unique lesson in the value of trust-based relationships and communication. And then that's followed by a ranch-style barbecue at the Roberts home. And then less than 10 minutes from the resort are the Santa Barbara polo fields, where your group can enjoy a 30-minute exhibition match followed by lunch or cocktail reception at the polo fields. And then last but certainly not least is Santa Barbara wine country. So we now have over 250 wineries in Santa Barbara County, and many of these wineries have spaces for private events on their vineyards. So that's an option for groups as well. So in closing, thank you so much for allowing me to share a little bit of what Santa Barbara has to offer and our new protocols that are in place. Next up, I would like to introduce you to Nikki with Rosewood Mayakoba.
Thank you, Corey, and welcome everyone to Rosewood Mayakoba, our lovely resort located in Riviera Maya on the eastern side of Mexico, right on the Mexican Caribbean coast. Our resort is an easy 35-minute southward drive down the main freeway from the Cancun International Airport, where you then enter the Grand Gates of Mayakoba, which is a 620-acre resort community featuring 4 distinct resorts, a PGA golf course, El Pueblito, an authentic Mexican town square, a dive and water sports center, tennis center, and more. Rosewood Mayakoba is the premier destination within the Mayakoba community, featuring 129 recently renovated suites, all featuring water views, whether on our natural lagoon system or directly on the Mexican Caribbean beach itself. Riviera Maya as a destination reopened June 15th with limited capacities at resorts and tourist attractions. While restaurants did initially remain closed, those have now reopened, now with 60% capacity at restaurants, resorts, and tourist attractions. Regarding flights, there has been a little confusion within the media and such regarding the US-Mexico border closure. This has actually never applied to air travel, only land crossings or ferry travel and such. Flights have continued to increase from major US hubs, with roughly 60 international flights now arriving into Cancun daily. And this will continue to increase in the fall as we see new direct lift from areas such as San Diego with Alaska Airlines, Air France resuming flights in November, and more. And there's currently no quarantine required on either side of the border, though your state and local governments may have separate policies in place. As for arrival, as you've seen on previous slides, our protocols in place are all about the safety of both our staff and guests, while keeping our guest experience as enjoyable and unhindered as possible. We do provide our own transfers to and from the airport should groups choose to utilize our service. And car drivers do wear PPE from the moment they first greet guests. Guests are also required to wear face masks when not physically distancing in transfers and in public areas of the resort. Guests and associates will have their temperature read each time that they arrive to the resort, and guests will also find a safety kit, including masks and hand sanitizer, inside of their rooms on arrival. We do take precautions such as wiping all guest luggage with disinfectant wipes before placing the luggage in suites as well. And for groups, we have a lovely hospitality area available for arrival, which allows open air and physical distancing with quick pre-registration available. And this space neighbors our dock, where guests will board one of our 4 resort boats for their iconic boat transfer to their suite, while enjoying our now reinstated welcome beverage, the famous Chayarita. As mentioned previously, the resort went through an extensive $20 million renovation in 2019. So our guest suites are like new, with custom made furniture, both indoor and outdoor, new paint schemes, electrical outlets, bathroom fixtures, new added foliage in the outdoor showers, and much, much more. Each of our suites offers their own outdoor private entrance, and most suites are set 2 to a building with no more than 4 per building, depending on the category. As far as sanitizing suites, we are scheduling housekeeping times upon arrival. So the cleaning and sanitation takes place while the guests are not present in the suite for safety of all. We've removed all collateral and magazines from the suites, but keep in mind we have a Rosewood Mayakoba app that is available for download. And in addition to offering newspapers and reading material, guests can also communicate with their butlers via the app, make dinner reservations, find restaurant menus, activity options, and more. And as mentioned, we are currently limited to 60% occupancy at the resort, though we're very fortunate to have a naturally physically distanced and very private suite arrangement throughout the resort. We of course have constant cleaning and sanitation in place for all public spaces, including our meeting areas. As far as events, based on the number of guests in a group, we will pre-arrange staggered arrival times for all events to avoid gathering on arrival, and we will have 2 entrances available for all event spaces, with the exclusion of our small boardrooms. All tables will be placed at least 6.5 feet apart for physical distancing, and we will suggest theater setup for any actual meetings taking place, though this is not required. We'll work with each individual meeting planner on their group-specific needs. We do have full banquet protocols available for anyone who'd like to see a copy, with a focus on physical distancing and food safety. These protocols are in place through the end of the year, at which time we'll review these and make any adjustments necessary. For our event setups, we are currently offering live chef attendant food stations, as well as butler style serving. And for groups of 50 or less, we'll also offer past hors d'oeuvres. Food stations will be placed at least 16 feet apart to avoid gathering. And of course, we'll have acrylic coverings over any of the food or service items. We'll suggest the number of stations needed based on the number of guests present at any event, again, spacing these throughout the event layout. And for activities on site, while the destination has reopened in almost all areas, for those who feel more comfortable on site, Mayakoba truly offers a destination within the destination. In addition to all that Rosewood Mayakoba offers, we have 25 different culinary experiences throughout the resorts, El Pueblito, and the Golf Clubhouse. We also have a full tennis center, a dive center with a 55-foot Van Dutch yacht available for rentals, jet skis, scuba diving, and more. And of course, our PGA Championship golf course, El Camaleon, all offering full safety and hygiene procedures. As far as off-site activities, we partner with 3 incredible local DMCs, Meritor, Four Worlds Expeditions, and Mayan Hospitality. They're all able to provide transfer service throughout the destination, arrange ticketing and guided tours, off-site dinners in Playa del Carmen, and all else that you would expect. Both Tulum and Chichen Itza ruins are open and available for tours, while we're just awaiting Koba to reopen, hopefully soon. And many aren't aware that we actually have the largest underground river system in the world, created by an asteroid that hit the Yucatan 66 million years ago, also forming the beautiful crystal clear sinkholes we call cenotes. So these are must-see experiences in the destination, and we have options as close as 15 minutes from the resort. For those up for some action, there's also many adventure parks throughout the destination, featuring zip lining, eco parks, ATV courses, and more. So please do come visit us and experience beautiful Riviera Maya. And next, we'll be moving on to Tyler, presenting Rosewood Bermuda.
Thank you, Nikki. As she mentioned, I'm Tyler Svedich, the Director of Sales, representing our Jewel of the Atlantic, Rosewood Bermuda. Located just 650 miles off the coast of North Carolina, Bermuda allows easy access for guests throughout the eastern seaboard, with flights from New York under 90 minutes, Atlanta under 3 hours, and London under 7. Our seasonality might be slightly different than the Caribbean, but Rosewood Bermuda does boast a laid-back atmosphere with a sense of sophistication that showcases the sunny paradise view from its pink sand beaches and offers a British colonial flair throughout the island. We had the opportunity to reopen July 1st amidst our peak season, so we've had the opportunity to already welcome guests and groups alike. After reviewing your questions that was sent prior to the webinar, I did notice that many of you had questions specifically pertaining to the arrival protocols and experience. So I'll spend a bit more time on this for the beginning versus the end so that you can get a more clear picture. I'm happy to share that the US CDC has ranked the island as a level 2 travel destination. So it's one of a few countries globally with that ranking. And also as a small joke, I'd hate to miss the opportunity to mention that Bermuda currently has less COVID cases than the White House. But as a way to move right into our travel protocols, within 7 days prior to departure, we do require that guests obtain proof of a negative COVID-19 test prior to traveling to the island. In addition, they must complete a travel authorization form within 48 hours of departure. Then once upon arrival, guests will receive their second COVID test and they must quarantine while they await the results of that test upon arrival. The average wait time is generally about 4 to 6 hours, but can take up to 24 in certain instances. Of course, depending on the guest length of stay, guests must take follow-up COVID tests on day 4, day 8, and day 14 of their visit. These measures are an important way for us to mitigate the risk, which is especially important when on an island of our size, only being 21 square miles long. This has provided most of our guests and our group guests with a sense of comfort and welcome while they've been on the island. And the travel authorization form is about $75 prior to arrival, but it does cover all of the additional testing while on the island. So that includes the day of arrival, your day 4, 8, and 14 tests. Coming into the island for our arrival and departure protocols, LF Wade International is currently open and in place. We are going to receive a brand new airport opening in December of this year. So we're very excited to welcome some of our existing flights coming back, as well as a bit much anticipated change from BA's current Gatwick flight. It's moving over to Heathrow, which will continue to open up the global market for our island itself. With Rosewood Bermuda being the closest luxury resort to the airport, we're only located 5 to 10 minutes away. This allows us to work in partnership with the Ministry of Travel to ensure strict protocols are in place for group travel, which allows for staggered group arrivals and check-ins. Pre-arrival information is sent to the to our planners from our team, whether it be from myself, my team, or the Catering Conference Services team, with a copy of our guest experience QR code, which is continuously updated and monitored in partnership with the Bermuda Tourism Authority. So as soon as they update their information, we'll be updating ours. So this QR code can be accessed at any time prior to arrival or while on the island, and it helps to review any safety concerns as what to expect while in Bermuda and at the hotel. Rosewood Bermuda is an 88 guest room and suite hotel sitting on 240 acres of land in Tuckerstown in eastern Bermuda. Rosewood Bermuda naturally allows for more boutique size in programs and events, just being a smaller property. This is great for meetings and events that take place now, as most companies are looking to downsize their programs. All of our rooms and suites do overlook the water from the terrace or balcony of their room. So everyone, no matter if they're in an entry-level room all the way up through our presidential suites, can open up those doors to see the beautiful blues and allow for that natural air to come in. We did complete a $28 million renovation in 2018 to our guest rooms and public areas, allowing a more sleek and simple design. So along with the heightened safety protocols that have been put in place over the couple of months, this has allowed for a more comfortable and seamless in-room experience for our guests. For our meetings and events, we continue to maintain a rigorous safety and health protocols in place, or continue to maintain rigorous safe and healthy protocols that are in place. We are able, in Bermuda, able to welcome groups up to 75 guests. Of course, guests are asked to wear their masks when in public spaces, but welcome to remove them throughout their events in a private dedicated space. With over 15 different indoor and outdoor venues, we have the opportunity of hosting meetings spread out throughout the property. We are starting to see much more shorter booking window and seeing guests requests for board of directors meetings, which is allowing us to bridge the opportunity between New York and London as guests are able to enter the destination now already. As for our banquet food and beverage, with groups of 75, we're encouraged to continue to host meetings and events. Of course, we do ask that there's no more than 10 guests per table. And additionally, for our smaller groups, we're offering more creative and tailored experiences for the events, including a la carte dining and meetings of groups less than 20. So your guests can take a break and order their lunch at their mid-morning break and be ready just in time for lunch, as well as tableside trolley service for our events that we can offer for our larger events. As for our on-site recreational opportunities, we were able to get everything up and running while on site. So the beach club is still open, as well as our 4 pools. Our spa is open as well. Our water sports center will continue to remain open. Please keep in mind that Bermuda does seasonally close our beach club and water sports center. So a bit different seasonality than the Caribbean. We're going to be looking at March through November as our season when our beach club will be open, and then November, about Veterans Day through mid-March, is when it will close. But we can still continue to offer great outdoor activities such as golf and tennis that are available year-round and on site. And as for our off-site recreations, we're happy to know that majority of the local attractions, shops, and restaurants are open, albeit with new health and safety protocols in place. Of course, Bermuda has a myriad of activities, including land and sea. So we are actually a naturally perfect location to social distance, just due to the natural resources, making it easy for people to be away from people if you wish. And in terms of our partnering better, we have come up with some creative ideas in order to be better partners to you for the remainder of the year. If we need to open up the meeting space to allow for more existing flights, we're doing that at no additional cost. We've created micro group packages and for groups and weddings with an all-inclusive option for events. We've offered flexible meeting, food and beverage options, as I've mentioned. We're partnering with 2 different private jet services so we can get some of your board meetings and events down to the island. And then with terms of our contract flexibility, we've lowered our group minimum, as well as we're considering courtesy rates and increased attrition along with the Rosewood Rest Assured policy. So on behalf of Rosewood Bermuda, thank you so much for your time today and your partnership over the years. We do look forward to your continued consideration of Rosewood Bermuda and Rosewood Hotels and Resorts. I will now turn it back over to Shireen. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Tyler. So thank you to all the presenters for sharing your information. Let's see if we have any additional questions, Katie.
Hi, yes, we actually do have a few, and I just want to be aware of time. We did reach our 30-minute mark. So I'm just going to ask one question and have all the properties address it, because this question is for all properties. And then for any remaining questions that were not answered on today's webinar, we will reach out separately via email. So the question is, have any of the properties on this call operated any smaller events since COVID, and if there was any specific takeaways or anything you can share in terms of feedback? We can start in the order of the properties that presented. So if Corey with Rosewood Miramar Beach wants to start.
Thank you so much, Katie. We have hosted small rooms only type groups, which isn't kind of unusual for the time of year. You know, the summertime is usually our busy season for leisure travel where we don't have a lot of group, but we have been lucky to capture a couple smaller groups in that regard.
As for Rosewood Mayakoba, we've also operated smaller, more socially organized events. And I think the biggest takeaway is that we can craft our events based on what you're comfortable with. We do always follow the local government regulations and our Rosewood safety policies, but it at a point comes down to what the meeting planners and the guests are comfortable with how we lay out the event. And our vendors do take that into consideration as well, coming down to how many people you feel comfortable with in each vehicle. We can clean more based on what you are looking for. So it's all curated to the guest experience that's needed for each particular group.
And on behalf of Rosewood Bermuda, I am happy to share that we've had the opportunity to host meetings and events since we reopened in July. Bermuda is a big offshore meeting and events destination, especially in the insurance and reassurance markets, being a hub in Bermuda, as well as being a bridge destination between Europe and the US right now, since we're one of the only locations where both of those countries can meet to put on board meetings. We are seeing a fair amount of meetings coming in into the island. So I think we're looking at a very short booking window. I mean, I have a group that's potentially on the books in contract right now for in the next 10 days. So we are seeing meetings and events coming to take place, I think, with the restrictions that the Bermudan government has put in place in terms of the safety and travel protocols coming in has really made it comfortable for people to travel to the island and feel comfortable while they're there. So we have been fortunate in that instance.
Great, thank you all so much. We do have a few more questions. However, as I mentioned, just being cognizant of time, we will be answering questions offline via email. So please don't worry, your questions will be answered. And I'm going to hand it back over to Shuyin to close out the webinar.
Great, thanks, Katie. And I did just also want to highlight that our website is continually updated with not only hotels as they reopen, but we have COVID-19 updates that are always current on our website, as well as all of the brand campaigns and some of the offers that I mentioned. You can also find those on our website as well. The website has been recently updated within the past 30 days. That also hopefully will provide for a really great interactive experience. So thank you again for joining us today. We do realize that these continue to be uncertain times, but as we start to see early signs of recovery, we do hope you found this call helpful and that it provided you with the assurances and the confidence that that we are ready to welcome your guests when you are ready to confirm with us. So have a great rest of your day, and thank you again.